All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the You Transform Human Design show. Today we're going to be doing an unpacking for Daniel Martin. I'm here with my co-host, Krystal Fox, who is our conscious living coach and a soul design specialist also. So we're glad to have Daniel with us. Daniel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm enjoying the weather and I'm excited to move forward.
All right. Well, we're excited about working with your unpacking some here, and we're going to start right at the beginning of our soul design. This is actually Daniel's second unpacking. And before we get started, Krystal, give us Daniel's bio right quick.
Yeah, we're going to tell you all a little bit about Daniel. Daniel is a computer technician turned epilepsy health coach. Stemming from his life-changing decision that he was in control of his own life, he discovered the immense bliss of mindful spiritual living, and he strives to share more and more of his gifts with his clients, family, friends, and the world at large. Daniel's also a part of our You Transform community, so we're happy to have you here today.
Yeah, and awesome. Like I was saying, Daniel has had an unpacking, and it's interesting. I've gone back and with some clients, I go back and do some additional unpacking, and he's gracious enough to share his information with the world here, because we're trying to give an understanding of this new technology that we have and bring it out into the public and help as many people as we can. So we'll get started with Daniel's chart. Krystal, could you bring up his design summary for us, and we'll kind of start there.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen.
All right, this is You Transform's soul design summary sheet. And you'll see we have three parts to the soul design. There's the soul profile, the earth profile, and the human design. And all three of these components are actually ancient systems from long ago. And these type of things are, consciousness is rising enough in humanity that these things are starting to come together now. And we've brought these three technologies together into one package to get the whole picture, the broad picture of your soul, of what your soul's doing in the earth realm, and the best way to engage your energies through your soul design is really what this is about. And with Daniel's soul design here, we want to talk about his soul profile first. The soul profile is when you were fractalized from source. And when Daniel was created, he has two primary and a secondary quality that are the foundation, or the major part of the foundation of the energy that he is, his soul energy is. And his primary is manifestation, and his secondary is communication. So Daniel's going to really like to be physically involved in things at times. As a manifester, he's going to like creating. And there's some other reasons he likes creating also further on in his chart. But he's going to like being a manifester. He's going to feel good when he's out. He's out, probably likes to travel some, likes to be physical and do things physically. And that's on the positive side. When he's hitting the positive side in his manifestation, he's going to feel really good about what he's doing, and he's going to be excited and be in a lot of joy and ease with that. His secondary quality is communication, which is a command of the verbal, written language, and even has to do with creating. Because the spoken word is actually in the thought. The word in the thought is what goes out into the quantum field and collapses the quantum field into creation. So he has that side of things mastered. Daniel, can you tell us anything about those two qualities for you? How do you feel about?
Yeah, I do like I'm creating things. I kind of like problem solving and puzzle solving and puzzles, optical illusions, and coming up with things that nobody's ever done before and new ways of doing things. So I guess that might be some kind of way of manifesting things. And the communication side is interesting. I always considered myself introverted and not wanting to talk to people, but more and more so. I don't identify that way at all. I identify myself as a good listener, and I definitely identify myself as analytical. So again, those are the kind of the big things. It's just the technical, analyze, and yeah, solve problems and create new things in my mind. Not necessarily painting a whole bunch or anything like that. More computer code and like building things.
Yeah, that's interesting because in your design, and I'm going to skip over to the earthworm profile for a second because this is important. Your archetypical role is artisan. Now, artisans have exactly the qualities you just described. They love to create. They love to create things that are new or different than has ever been created before. You know, so it's way more than just being an artist or a musician or doing whatever. It's that encompassing energy of what you are that is really about creating like you're doing. For me, your epilepsy program is a prime example of you taking and developing something in this artisan role and using those energies that are back there, that manifestation energy and that communication energy is there. Communication energy is not just about the speaking part of it. It has to do with manifestation also. A communicator, like I said, in this realm, speaks creation into existence, also the thought energy with that.
It also has to do with self-expression and authenticity. When you're communicating from that place is when you're in the positive polarity of your divine quality.
Yeah.
Which ties in well with your epilepsy program as well.
Yeah. So that's really the strength of who you are and people tend to pick roles that are based in their qualities. That's what we see lots of times is that artisan fits in with that. So, that's your strength. Your strength already, which is great. And the other thing is watching out for negative aspects as they happen, and watching out and being aware when I'm frustrated or when I feel bitter and things aren't working out, that most likely I'm doing something negative, in the negative side of who I am. And it's creating that blockage in your energy, and it's creates some manifestations that we don't, we don't really want in our lives. So that's really important to marry those things together between the artisan and your energy centers. Mm-hmm. The other thing that you have in your design is your soul group. Your soul group is where you dropped off at, where you went through a cycle of lives before you entered into the earth realm. I call these places realms or realities. The earth has its type of reality, and these other places have their type of reality, and they have life cycles and things that go on, and their design process in that realm is unique to that realm. But you come from a place from a system called Hadar, And Hadar souls are very loving souls. Okay, they want to do what you're doing. I mean, they want to, they want to be in a community like you're in, and they want to serve in the community through their best, their greatest gifts, just like you're doing. So, Hadar souls are, the clients that I have that are Hadar souls are very loving souls, and they're all serving to their best capabilities, just like you're doing. There are some negative components to that. In the chart, we have positive and negative things outlined, for you to look at. But you're doing a pretty good job, Daniel, of being in your qualities. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because you've really, since I met you, even, we've known each other for several months now, but you've changed a lot in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been phenomenal. You want me to talk specifically on a tendency of being a loving person, or just kind of the change in general over the past couple of months?
Yeah. How's it been for you? I mean, I think everyone will be interested in, you got into our group and you started working with us on the process and on knowing yourself. Like, this chart is all about knowing yourself really well. But, how do you perceive your change in the last couple of months?
Absolutely. I feel it's kind of hard to explain in detail these kind of concepts. And it's also, you recognize looking back, this changed in, a certain period of time, and I feel more like this way. And it's always on this spectrum where, you're leaning one way or leaning another way. But a major change, I guess, was just kind of the mindset of working hard, doing things, just show up, be consistent over and over and over and over again. And the past couple of months has just been deeper and deeper and deeper into feeling good, feeling love, feeling spiritually, feeling connected to other people, and wanting to do things, and knowing things inside yourself, having intuition and following a path. So again, the past couple of months has been just almost experiencing, deeper emotions or deeper feelings that I've never felt before in these areas, right? I put more focus and attention on different things, right? Power, success, love, ease, just all kinds of things. And they all open up new things. And as I go on, just feeling that love more powerfully, and that connection is kind of a gist of the past couple of months. I kind of struggle answering general questions like that, but
no, that's good. What I hear there is you started doing consistent practice in meditation.
More consistent and more, I don't know if intense is the right word, but more focused, or more.
Yeah, more focused with, some of the concepts we teach is to be focused and to be active in your meditations, in certain meditations, being active about your future visions and the emotions that you have.
To really apply what you're learning. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're spot on about when you start functioning in that way, when you become the watcher and you're functioning in the positive side of who you are, it becomes much easier. The love pours into your heart, is beginning to open. So the love is pouring in, and your manifestation capabilities, when you get all that in alignment, you start manifesting really fast. And I see that in your life. All of that's clicking in, and you're well on your way now.
Yeah.
So very much the same way for me. How about you, Krystal? How do you
Yeah,
see
absolutely.
that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You line up with your authenticity, and you step into alignment, and you just get started and you get going. And it's just yeah, downward stream from there. Just so much ease when you're in alignment. There's a ton of ease when you're in alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll continue on here. We've kind of gotten over into the earth realm profile a little bit.
Yeah.
The earth realm profile is the energies that you're using to learn and have catalyst. Some of these things create catalyst in your life, so you have to learn how to do something and learn how to use energies the right way, in a positive way. So we've already identified that you have that artisan. You're a true artisan type, and you're a mature soul. We look at soul age, which is how long you've been studying in your life cycles. So mature soul, you've been around the block. I mean, you've been around the block doing this a whole lot, and you're a level 7, and a level 7 is a teacher, is the teacher role of that level. So you're learning. So if you look at your life, to me, if I look at your life and see what you're doing, you had epilepsy. Okay, that was the catalyst. And then you figured out how to heal yourself. And now, which is different than what a lot of other people are doing, you've created your own system, which is it's novel, but the reason it's novel is it works. But what I'm saying is nearly all new creations that we have are novel the first time, right? And have to be a little different to shock the system and change things. So, you've done that with your.
What do you mean shock the system? Are you talking about
what happens is a lot of people have struggle recognizing things in society because they're so boxed in to the structure they're within. So here's all these people, and they're being told by doctors, well, you have to take this, and you have to take this, and there's nothing else we can do for you.
Right.
I mean, I'm not that well versed in epilepsy, but I know that traditionally it has a certain way that it's treated. So there's a focus, kind of like blinders, that everybody is walking in. And then here comes Daniel. Mm-hmm. And Daniel heals himself. Well, this is novel. And it's like everybody goes, what?
Right.
So it's like what You Transform is doing. This is novel. I mean, we're giving technology that's old, and you are too, actually, but it's just now coming back into the collective's awareness. Mm-hmm. So that's what a shock is. What we call it, this is a culture shock. I'm not sure it's a culture shock, but it's just different. So it gets what happens, Daniel, is it gets attention.
Gotcha. I see it 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And that ties in with your artisan role and your divine quality of manifestation. It all really ties in your teaching, your level 7 teaching with your artisan role, with your divine qualities. It's amazing how they all loop in together.
Yeah, that ties together and is creating what you're manifesting right now.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. So we'll look at the other qualities in the earth realm profile, because they set the way that you kind of do things in this incarnation. Your goal is submission, or learning how to submit, or use that energy, really is what it's about. Submission would be, you submitting to do things for other people. is a way to look at it. You stepping back and stepping in, submitting yourself and going in and helping and doing whatever. Taking a submissive role. It's even letting go and allowing in a way. You know,
having the discernment to know when to let go and allow.
Right. It's learning that. So you're learning that through that submissive energy. On a positive side, it's being able to have boundaries within that submission energy and not martyr yourself. Mm-hmm. Get into something, submit to something, and then not be able to get out. That's what happens to a lot of submission people is they submit and they want to go in and help. And then they, all of a sudden it's not, not good at all. You know, they're really struggling. So, and I think you've learned that, you know, you're able to go in and out of that as you need to. Your mode is a reserve mode. What reserved means, yeah, we're on reserve there. What your reserve mode means is you're working through a submission goal, but your mode is reserved intellectual, internal. Reserve means that you take everything in and you internalize it and analyze it before you do anything with it. That's the reserve mode. Your attitude is realist. So you're going to be looking realistically at everything that you bring in internally. You know, will it work? Will it not work? You know, you'll be using a realist attitude for that. So how does that ties in with kind of what you were telling us earlier about yourself?
Yeah, definitely that reserved part, taking in the information is like 100%. And just imagining things in my mind. And also, I guess the realist part of it is one thing that has absolutely driven me crazy is somebody who appears to make decisions without realism or without logic or without like a concrete reason. So like if I attempt to ask them, like, hey, I just want to know your reasonings behind this so I can compare my reasoning so we can like have a decision. That's the
realist.
Yeah.
The realist in you. So the power that I try to tell everybody is, you know, these things now. So if you get into a negative side of something, you know, a negative side of reserved is to get into that mind activity, because my mode is reserved also. So one of the things that I used to do that was not so good is I would internalize something and just internalize it and internalize it and internalize it. And what I was doing is I was holding myself back. By doing that, it's actually a self-destructive nature.
Yeah, it'll really create a block for you also. That's in that negative polarity of reserved. It creates a block.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is you get stuck internally and don't act, you know, or you don't act and move on anything. It's just, it's kind of like a quagmire.
Right.
And that's what I have gotten into in the past. So Krystal, would you tell us a little bit about the chief obstacle, how that works and what we're...
Yeah, actually, I have a chief obstacle of self-destruction as well. I think John does as well.
Yeah, there's all three of us were self-destructive.
There it is, yeah. And so sometimes people can really think about it on, you know, the extreme side, you know, addiction and drugs and all that. But actually, there's a spectrum for, you know, self-destruction, and that's more of like the self-sabotage, really letting fear creep up, worry, you know, letting those emotions really be the driver, as opposed to, you know, on the other side of self-sabotage, really pushing through that. So the chief obstacle, it's really going to be one of your greatest opportunities for growth and expansion, you know, in this lifetime, for you to really push through those fears push through the self-sabotage and whatnot to then, you know, submit and reach the higher goals that you're really trying to reach for. How does that, does self-sabotage or self-destruction, does that resonate with you?
So it's interesting in some ways it does, some other ways not. So I've never drank coffee, soda, or having caffeine, never had basically alcohol ever, maybe one drink in my life.
Right.
And never smoked, never done any kind of drugs, and don't rely on any supplements to sleep. I'm not in like, I don't rely
on the extreme side of self-destruction. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you take me, for instance, I did all the above. I mean, you know, I was a prolific drinker, drugs. I mean, I have tried to destroy myself in various ways and was pretty bad for a while. But the thing about self-destruction is these are all energy type things. So I was using some materialistic methods to try to, you know, creating catalysts for me. Because honestly, if I hadn't have done everything that I did back at that time, the way I did it, I wouldn't be where I am right now and know what I know. So what happens is your soul actually puts catalyst at you, puts your self-destructive energy at you in ways that are right for you, that come up and block you in some way. And so Krystal's is different than yours, and yours is different than mine. All three of us, the way that self-destructive system worked is different. And every client that I've talked to that has the self-destruct, it has been a little different, because it's all about the soul wanting to grow and expand. And what's right for you is not right for me, and vice versa. That's one of the biggest issues that we have in our society and our civilization right now, is thinking that everyone has a way that they're supposed to be, and an exact, you know, we teach our children when they come up, we try to mold them just like we've been molded. And unbeknownst to most folks they don't even know their design, much less their children's. And they're just going by whatever was handed to them before. And that's why we have so many screwed up, you know, souls right now, because they were raised incorrectly, and they're not engaging their soul system, their energy system correctly. And it creates frustration, anger, just all kinds of negative sides. But, you know, if we don't get it this go around, we'll get it next time, maybe. But so there's reason I said that is there's really no right or wrong. You know, every soul is where they're supposed to be, which is kind of hard for people to understand. But people who need these readings like this will come to us and get them, and they'll expand. They'll expand and move very rapidly toward their truth, their absolute truth.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind, though, Daniel, with self-destruction, you know, it's going to look different for you. It's going to creep up in different ways for you. But it is more on the lines of, you know, self-sabotage and really letting fear get in the way. Really, any of those fearful thoughts. I mean, that's self-destructive nature. You know, I'm unable to do this. You know, what if I do this and then I lose all of this? Or, you know, just it'll pop up in different ways. But just to be, you know, aware of it is good.
Got it. Thanks.
And now the last thing we'll talk about in the earth realm is your centering. And what centering has to do with is it's about centering your being, your state of being, okay, of who you are. It's about centering that in something. And your centering is intellectual. So that's why you take everything, okay, you're reserved, so you internalize everything, and you have an intellectual centering. So you're going to look at everything from a very intellectual standpoint. And there's no right or wrong in that. That's the way your centering is. But it's good to remember that I have an intellectual center. So when I'm working with someone else, understanding my qualities, and that this person that I'm talking to probably doesn't have my qualities or may not have my qualities, helps me to be able to relate to that individual better. Kind of like the question you had before. You were talking about, I don't remember exactly what it was, but when you're talking to folks and they're not giving you the information the way you want it, it's probably because they're designed to give it a different way. Or they're just not going to see it that way.
Yeah.
And Krystal and I were talking the other day about relationships, and I know you're looking for a conscious relationship. And really, in conscious relationships, you really have to understand your significant other. If you don't, it's just so much better when I understand who I am, first of all, but also understand how the other person is.
Right. And how you're going to interact, how what both of y'all bring to the table are really going to interact. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're operating in an introverted expression, like reserved, and you get with another introverted expression, you know what's going to happen? You're both going to sit around and go, like that. See, I'm introverted and my wife's extroverted. Has extroverted earthworm qualities, and mine are introverted. So, but actually it works out better that way for us. So, there's intellectual, there's emotional, and there's moving, and there's higher centers also. Mine is intuitive. An intuitive center is I use my intuition on everything. I get a direct intuitive feeling on when anything I'm doing. I get that intuition is just like that.
Yeah.
So intellectual, one thing to remember about it being intellectual, Daniel, is it's going to take you longer, and don't be frustrated by that. It's going to take you longer to figure things out at times because you're intellectualizing it.
Yeah.
And then there's going to, go ahead, Krystal.
I've got an intellectual center like you, Daniel. So I'm very, thoughts, concepts, ideas. That's how I take a lot of it in as well. So I can relate to that.
Yeah. And I'm just, it's just there, and I go. Neither one is right or wrong. It's what your soul needed. So we'll jump over to the human design before we run out of time here. In our human design is very popular system right now. A lot of people using it. We're using the major portions of it to tie it in with the other parts of our reading. Your human design is really your bodysuit. It's the car you're driving around in, or the vehicle. And the thing about your vehicle is it has its instrumentation and its pedals and buttons and way you drive it. And you're unique. So your vehicle you're in is unique, but your vehicle has a certain way that it turns its energy on and off and is able to read and interact with other bodysuits, because that's how our soul is working. Our soul is working through this environment, through our body. That's actually how it works. So if you know how your human design works, you can get the rest of everything that we talked about. That soul energy and everything is what you're shining through, that human design. And that's how that works, is you know yourself from the foundation, and then you have this filter here, this human design, this vehicle that you need to operate correctly. In human design, there's five types, and you're a projector. And what a projector is someone who reads energy that's coming in and then projects it back, amplifies it and projects it back out. And, you know, so the interesting thing for projectors is you can sense other people's feelings and their emotions and things like that. And when you're in groups, you may even get thoughts and feelings that you don't really know where they came from. Is very possible in groups for projectors. Projectors work very well one-on-one with people and in small groups. They do okay in small groups. In large groups, it can be kind of tough energetically. Mm-hmm. And you kind of have to learn how to handle that energy when you go into large crowds. I don't know how you feel around large crowds, but a lot of projectors don't like being in big groups or in big cities.
I'm usually 100% silent in a large crowd unless I'm forced. Oh, wow. If I'm designated to talk, like a public speaking, but that's only 20 people.
Yeah. But,
yeah. So being a projector like that is the main thing to understand about your human design, and really all of this is your strategy. There's a life strategy for all 5 types. Mm-hmm. And knowing that strategy is really critical in turning your energy on and off and using your bodysuit right. If you don't use your strategy correctly, what happens is a lot of times you're going to feel very bitter, very frustrated, very angry. Your energy's not working right. You're going to be worn out, half a day, and you're just, feel like you've been tromped on. Mm-hmm. Those are signs that you're not engaging properly. So the strategy for a projector is wait for recognition and invitation. And the thing about that is, if you're a projector, what you want to do is let's say you're in an epilepsy business and you're selling your program. The way a projector would work with that is you'll put that information out. You'll put it out there, you'll visualize it, you'll manifest it, you'll put it out into the environment, and your energy is going to draw. It's going to draw those who need that and want that to you. Mm-hmm. And when that happens and they come to you, you've been recognized. Right. You see what I'm saying? It's more about putting it out there and letting it come to you, waiting for it to come to you. And then they're going to say, Daniel, I want to be in your program. And when they do that, they've invited you in. And now you've got your energies are going to work, because when that happens, it connects the energies on both sides in the right way. If a projector tries to just go out and try to tell people things, it will fall on deaf ears. Right. Because when they speak, you don't get that connection. Mm-hmm. It just has to be where both parties. A lot of times projectors will try to tell people things because projectors are great advisors, because they're reading the energy from the person they're talking to. They understand a lot about what that person needs when they're talking to them. So if you're engaged properly, the other person is going to accept what you're telling them. But if you don't engage and you just try to tell somebody something, your energy is so strong that they're just going to go. It's not going to feel good to them. Yeah. And they're going to shut down. Yeah. And
this is also really going to help you stay in the positive polarity of communication, because in the negative polarity of communication of your divine quality, it's really you're communicating and it's falling on deaf ears. So by using the knowledge that you have about being a projector, you're really going to be able to direct your communication in a way where you're reaching the right people, and you're in the positive polarity of communication.
Is it kind of like is that recommendation on the energetic side or kind of on the physical action side? So like, for example, an invitation, inviting somebody in, right? Like that could just be blog posts and videos and, you know, indirect kind of just ways of putting my message out there. Or it could be, I guess, the way I say something. I could say, there might be another way to do this, or this is the way it is, or try to clarify what I'm trying to say here.
Generally, you know, it's fine to go out and blog and things. If you try to put something out into a blog, though, say like in a comment section or something like that, and you weren't really invited to do that, you're going to get some negativity within that.
Okay.
That's what can happen. For you on your big decisions in your life, you really need to make sure you're following your strategy. For big decisions, you can, some of the other smaller decisions, you can kind of feel your way through them and you'll be okay. But for the most part, you want to try to follow your strategy. It's best to learn your strategy and just follow it. That's what I did. I know my strategy, and I stick to it no matter what.
Yeah.
Because
the same.
Well, the reason I do that is because I've learned. I mean, I learned the hard way, and we all do. You know, once I figured out, I learned my strategy way before I ever saw human design or any of this. But I learned it through a lot of trial and error and a lot of, you know, knowing that it doesn't work when I try to just do.
Yeah.
And that's what our society's telling us all. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
And there's only a couple of types that even have a possibility of just doing it. And projectors aren't one of them. Projectors, the way that a projector should work is advising and directing others to do their work. And that, what you do is you create a symbiotic relationship between you and the people you're working with, because I'm a manifesting generator and Krystal's a generator. We work, and my son is Michael is a projector.
Sure.
Okay. So we use him. He's our projector.
Right.
Whenever I need to know, whenever I'm curious about something or I want to know something, I ask him. I said, "What's your advice on this?" You know, he didn't even know it, but that's, you know, that's okay. He does now, you know, but you want to, you know, you'll want to wait for that recognition. And when a group of people recognizes you, or, you know, like you're in our group, when the group recognizes you or you're recognized there, you know, bam, big bada boom. When you put your word out, your marketing out for your business, people will come to you if you allow that. If you try to go out and force that connection, it's just going to go, it'll just fall flat. That's what happens to projectors for the most part. That's what happens to most folks. Generators can't do it. They have to wait to respond. So Krystal and I we sit in the pocket.
Yeah.
And we wait. And that doesn't mean that I don't visualize. I visualize and I work on my manifestations in meditation. And I'm creating that way. And then what happens is the quantum field, God, source, whatever you want to call it, brings things to me. It may be, it's all kinds of things. I mean, most of the time it's people. Someone will come into your life and then they'll start talking about something and you go, oh, that's what that's a part of my vision. And then I'm able to engage and use my energy with that. So last thing about two more things about projector is One is projectors aren't meant to work. You know, you're not meant to work all day. You should be working with other people. Like I said, there's this symbiotic relationship. Develop a team around you that does that, and you'll feel so much better. You won't wear yourself out. You'll feel really good about what you're doing, and you'll be their advisor. You'll be creating through that. For you, you're an artisan, and you'll be creating your creation through these generators and these manifesting generators.
Yeah, you manifest through others, essentially. Bring your
Yeah,
manifestations to life.
And they will just be as happy as they can be, won't they, Krystal?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Last thing for you that's kind of really important, Daniel, is you have an emotional solar plexus. And we talked about this in the first unpacking. Individuals with an emotional solar plexus need to take time to make decisions. You know, it's besides your intellect, you do like to bring things up in intellectually, but also with this emotional solar plexus, you're gonna need to give it some time to get that feeling about how things feel. If you try to act too fast, it'll be, kind of frustrating for you, a little bitter, stuff like that. So, have you got any questions? Any last comments?
I don't think so. I guess the only little nugget I'm curious about is the wait for recognition strategy when it comes to dating, because it feels like you ought to pursue and do stuff, and
yeah, that's your masculine energy coming through on that. Just wanting to do.
It's wanting to do, but here again, you need to have that intent and go places and do things. Have that intent, go places, do things. Somebody may walk in our group.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they recognize you.
Yeah.
See, that's what Krystal and Michael's relationship, that's how that started.
Right.
All he was doing was visualizing.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 3 or 4 different, people that came to him, and they weren't right. And then Krystal came along. Mm-hmm. So that's what that is. And if you're a projector and you're trying to do like that, Daniel, you're actually going to defeat yourself in doing that. So you start visualizing this person.
Okay.
Visualize this person in your meditations, and let go of it. Surrender it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The thing is visualizing what you want, and then surrendering it to the source, to the greater mind. I surrender this to the greater mind for, to bring me the perfect person.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And you just keep doing that. And Krystal and I will be the witnesses here that, and it will happen.
It will.
Yeah. So anyway, really enjoyed talking with you today and working with you. And as of course, anytime you need us, you know where we're at.
Yeah. Thanks for being on this show.
Thanks so much.
And I think you've just done awesome. You've done an awesome job with where you're going, and you're going so fast with ease, which is great.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see all that you do in life, Daniel. It's going to be incredible. So
thanks so much.
So thank you for being on the program today. And if you've liked our program today, please like and share us and help us get the word out about what we're doing. And blessings to you all.